My name is Pierre.
You can look at me, actually.
I'm from South Africa. I've been living in Ukraine a little over 3 years. I was doing some language studies. I was also involved with an organization that works with orphans.
Mm-hmm. And you were in Kherson the whole time?
Yes, I was in Kherson all the time, yeah.
Okay. So, and how, I guess share a little bit, like, how was life in Kherson before February 24th?
Yeah, I would say I lived in one of those typical apartment buildings that you find in Eastern Europe on the 7th floor. So I think life was not too hard for me, I would say. Everything that I needed was available. There was food, vegetables, everything. Obviously the language was quite a challenge, and
which language were you learning?
Russian, yeah, because mostly people still speak Russian. Yeah. Most of the people there. Everybody always asks you, why are you, the local people, so why are you learning Russian and not Ukrainian? But the fact is that most local people...
And nobody ever gave you a hard time about speaking Russian?
No, not. Cannot. Yes, maybe I can share a little bit from what happened on that day when the war started. I remember it was say about 6:30 or so in the morning. I was having some quiet time, and I felt our building just gave like shook a little bit, and I heard an explosion in the distance. But I didn't. I just carried on, and I had an appointment with a friend for later that morning, and he sent me an SMS telling me, "Listen, I don't think we should go today. The war has started." And that was the first I heard. And then I stood up and I went to my kitchen window, and I could see this black smoke rising from our airport. So they shot missiles either from Crimea or from the Black Sea to damage the runway so that the airport couldn't be used again. So that was the start of it. And I remember that first night, Praveen already spoke about the bridge that comes over the Dnieper River, and then you turn to Nikolaev from there. So the first night, the Ukrainian army obviously tried to block them at the bridge, and the first night, I remember the jets were just coming over, and you could hear them bombing the bridge. And then I remember well, it was the 1st of March.
So like the 24th, 25th, when you were hearing some of those things, and then continued that way for a few days until the 1st of March or so? Yeah,
it was from what I could remember. The real fighting didn't start right away. It took some time for the troops to come through, and on the 1st of March, that morning about 11 o'clock, I was sitting behind my table there, behind my computer, and I heard a loud bang, and the building shook a little bit, and I didn't really know what was going on. And then the second shell that they shot, it was. I live on the side of the town, so there's an open field.
Well, let me see if I can get this. We can start over again where you started about the shooting in your building. Можно немножко тише сделать, это очень громко здесь. Ну да. Okay, so maybe just start over again where you're talking about On March 1st.
Yeah, I remember well on the 1st of March at about 11 o'clock in the morning, I was sitting behind my table behind my computer doing some work, and I just heard this bang, something. You could feel the building, because the buildings are all like connected to each other. So I was living in number 4, and then I heard there was another, I heard a second explosion, and the shell actually fell in the road, and the shrapnel just went up and shattered all the windows. You could just hear glass breaking and falling. After the first shot, I actually jumped into my bath, because I heard people saying that's the best inside the bathroom, because there's all best for protection. And when the second shell fell, I decided no, I should maybe rather leave. So I grabbed my bag and I ran downstairs. And
how much time was there between the first shell and the second?
There was not much time. I would say a minute or maybe a minute or two. So I decided very quickly, no, I should rather maybe grab my bag, and I ran down, and afterwards, then I ran behind our building is like a детский сад, a kindergarten, and underneath there, that's where our bomb shelter was. So I ran there, and I would say for like 2 or 3 days there was quite intense fighting in our town, and we spent a lot of time in the bomb shelter. And
do you know if anyone was injured or anything?
No.
The shells that hit your building?
No, not that I know of. No. So afterwards, I could see the building number 3. I was living in number 4. So number 3 took a direct hit, from a tank. There were 2 shells that were directed in our direction, which the one fell just on the side of the road, which is about 30 meters away, and it just shattered the windows. Then the second one fell just about 6 meters, and if I look out my kitchen window, it's like right underneath. So it also exploded and just shattered the windows. So building number 4 I was living, and then there's building number 5. Then there's another building just a little bit in front, closer to the street. That building took a full hit. There's a big hole in the wall there. And there's a gap between number 5 and this building in front there, and they shot another shell through the gap, and another building behind us took a full shot, like the whole balcony was gone.
So, and you went back and lived in your apartment for a while after your buildings had been hit by the tank?
Yeah, I lived there, and I didn't. Some people slept in the first 2 or 3 nights while there was still fighting going on there. Some people slept in the bomb shelter, but I said no, because I remember Psalm 91 says that God even protects us in our sleep. So I said I trust God. I'm going to sleep in my apartment, and I would get up early in the morning, because they didn't shoot at night. They started early in the morning, so I got up early in the morning, got my stuff ready, and went out to the bomb shelter again. So that lasted for about 2 or 3 days or so, and then I remember, I think it was like the third day about, I was tired of walking up to the 7th floor on the stairs. Everything was covered with pieces of glass, and I just took a broom and I swept away the glass so that I don't have to walk on. Every time I go up the stairs, I have to walk on the glass.
It's just the glass from the windows
from
of
the
the stairwell?
Yeah, all the windows.
And in your apartment, did the glass break also?
No, on the 7th floor, my kitchen window did not break, which I'm so thankful for because it was very cold. It was actually snowing on the 1st of March. I remember well that day. It was still very cold. So thank God, no, my windows were not broken. No.
And then you ended up coming out with Carl and Marcia.
That's right. Yeah, we were keeping in contact, and there was somebody, some lady who lives in the Netherlands. She's originally from South Africa. She was trying to help people, and she called me and said, we've asked the Red Cross maybe to help you, and I sent through our information, me and Marsha and Province information, and also another Nigerian student from our church that I knew, but nothing happened. And then this opportunity came up, and Provin organized everything, and yes, I think we had peace amid this situation, and people said you shouldn't take a risk, but we said sometimes it's necessary. It's a risk to stay here, it's a risk to go, so we'll take the risk, and we just praise God for He opened the way for us, and everything worked out well. We are very thankful, yes.